which profession is criminally underpaid. Yup, I found out the CNA treating my grandma and a whole floor of a nursing home only made $13 an hour. Should be making quadruple that for all of the literal shit she has to take care of. We don't have nearly enough CNAs and nurses at the home I work at. Starting pay is $13.50 per hour for CNAs, nurses make $27 per hour. Instead of raising the rate of starting pay and hiring more CNAs, they offer us incentives to pick up extra hours on top of our shifts. I've only been a CNA for about 9 months, and I'm already burning out. I have to live with my parents because I don't make nearly enough to live on my own or even with a roommate. As soon as my contract is up, I'm going to look for a new job that either pays more or I'll go back into blue-collar work. Every new CNA we hire either quits a week later or keeps going until the crash and burn. It's a vicious cycle that has no visible end, and something needs to be done before we all quit and nobody can take care of our elderly. I was a CNA for almost 10 years, never made above $17 per hour. They covered a portion of nursing school tuition, but they basically expected you to work 80+ hours a week while attending school full-time, while working short and watching people die nearly every day. In Quebec, childcare providers can make $80,000 plus caring for a maximum of 6 children. They also receive other various subsidies, such as their household food purchases being reimbursed subsidized. The result is that Quebec often has very high-quality daycare, with long-term providers who have 10 to 20 years of experience, and will be with your child from the end of your maternity leave to until they enter school. Public defenders. I have a private law practice. The public defenders make a fraction of what guys like me make, know criminal law inside and out, and carry obscene caseloads. The system would break down immediately if they went on strike, which honestly, they should. My girlfriend is a public defender, and the amount of stress she's in at work every day alone should be worth double what she makes. Longtime PD. The biggest qualm I've had with the idea of a strike is that the people who will likely suffer the most are the clients, many of whom are locked up in jail or prison. Oftentimes, with some hard work, some of those people could be out on their next court dates, but not if their lawyers aren't there. It has to get really bad to be willing to strike, but see, e.g., OPD in New Orleans. Sometime last year, our local EMS fire department started putting job postings on social media. I was shocked to learn that the starting pay for entry-level EMS was $15 per hour. We pay our regular babysitter $20 per hour. Part of the problem is that there actually are a lot of EMTs. The metro area I used to live in easily graduated thousands of new EMTs a year. Our private company hired on average 10 to 15 new EMTs per month. They never had to worry about paying well to retain people, because they knew they had hundreds of applicants in the wings waiting to go. I got tired of the never-ending training cycle and low pay and finally got out. Honestly, I look back at my life then and think, damn, that was a fun job, but I would never do it again for how little they paid me. I loved the job most of the time. I really enjoyed helping the people live a decent life. Was paid $9.79 an hour in 2015. I left when I realized I could be a cashier at Walmart for that kind of money, and I was putting my future career in jeopardy when some negligent stuff was happening. People after 7 years working in childcare, I was only making $12.15. That's including the raise I got after getting my CDA. When I got my CDA, my boss told me, so the normal wage increase is 50 cents, but I think you deserve more than that. I got $1 increase. I work in childcare and get hired for 8.25 or something like that. Now I'm getting paid 9, been there since 2018. When I was looking for a new job, I noticed that a lot of places raise their wages to 12 to 15, except my job they don't post wages. Centers are getting desperate. Can't wait to be done. Probably never recommend anyone to work in childcare, not even at 15 an hour. Every good teacher I knew in high school has had to dip into their personal savings to help enrich the classroom. Whoever is in charge of providing so little disposable funding for educators to use, while also paying them pennies for their work, should be locked up. Social workers, they see abused, neglected kids all day, awful living conditions, desperation and poverty. Hands are tied with the ridiculous amount of red tape, etc. Soul-sucking job that makes one lose faith in humanity very quickly. No amount of money is worth the nightmares they must have at bedtime. I worked on a project for a hospital, where I was building some networks of missing youth in the foster group home system, but often interacted a lot with social workers, just to get insight on how certain homes worked, procedures, their experience with how children go missing, sex trafficking, etc. They had the absolute darkest sense of humor that I have ever encountered, pretty much because you almost have to, if you are dealing with all of what you said above. I miss taking care of people, and I feel bad for contributing to the overwork of everyone who stayed. But damn, it feels good to actually be making money and taking care of myself. This is common amongst CNAs and caregiving in general. The kind of people who pursue this career are typically your most patient, compassionate, and caring, who get burnt out over time, or literally cannot physically make the demands of so many patients on so little pay. The CNAs who really care about their patients are the ones who have it worst, because with the industry as it is now, and the pay as low as it is, most have moved on to bigger and better things. Our day programs are struggling to hold on to providers, since they can make $2 more working at your local fast food chain with less certifications and less stress. The ones who stay are the ones picking up the extra work and trapping themselves in a severely underpaid job, because if I leave, who will be left to care for them? Insurance. Unless you are dealing with some big outfit, even the people running it are not making that much. Insurance is too high, because liability is so high, because medical bills are so high, because we have this horrible public-private system that somehow gets the worst of both worlds. I work in care, and they only recently opt out wages, because they had to legally. Lives literally depend on us. Every day, if every carer quit their job straight away, most of our patients would die pretty quickly. All of them would be dead in a week. Used to work in childcare. Can confirm the pay is garbage. I make more as a receptionist at a law firm, where I mostly just sit there, and occasionally answer a phone, than I did doing actual work. It's sad. And children need stable people for them as schools, but turnover at schools is high because the pay is so bad. I worked as a paramedic in Canada. There was a policy called pager pay in more remote stations, where you literally would get $2 per hour if no calls came through. I will never forget, right when COVID was bad for the first time in New York, when a reporter was interviewing EMS workers, and made a joke like, well, at least you guys can get to the hospital real quick if you get sick, and without missing a beat on the EMS guys goes, we don't make enough money to go to a hospital. We don't even have insurance. Janitors. They clean up all our shit, get no respect, and are sometimes some of the chilliest people I've ever met. We should pay them more. Well, I was living with my parents, and thought it was what I wanted, and was passionate about, and originally wanted to do paramedic too. But I burned out fast. I have some friends that still have a bigger passion for it. Like I have one friend who quit his 20-something an hour job at Subaru to go work as an EMT, because it's what I've always wanted to do. I just am like, sheesh. I was dating another EMT back then too, that worked 2 different jobs and still barely had money for food. They just take advantage of people's passion. That's why volunteer departments exist too. Like I had an electrical fire at my house, and the first 2 firefighters that showed up were volunteers from my local department. Social workers. High-dollar educational costs with licensure for caseloads that are not humanely manageable safely, and not enough money to eke out a living. Worked as a direct support professional for adults with disabilities in a long-term care home. Cooked, cleaned, dispensed meds, bathed, worked on skills goals, drove, shopped, planned enrichment activities, and more. Riskier than being a cop, similar training requirements as a nurse, then get paid minimum wage. A few years ago, in my state, when the McDonald's workers were protesting minimum wage and trying to get it increased to $15 per hour, I found out from my EMT friends they were still at minimum wage. completely shocked me that having an education requirement, a skilled position, responsible for saving someone's life, was valued less than an entry-level fast food worker.